We will now receive the City Club report on initiative petitions 47 and 58, liquor privatization. Serena Stoudemire-Wesley, Chair of the Committee, will present the report and move for adoption of the report's recommendation. The meeting will then be open for debate and vote by City Club members. I will now turn the podium over to Serena Stoudemire-Wesley.
Well, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing so far? Good. We had the fun report. I also have with me our writer, Laura Labar, who's with us as well to help explain. We were charged with exploring ballot measures 46, let me put my glasses on, 47 to privatize liquor sales in Oregon. And we, at the beginning, I think the majority of us was all for it, but after we got into it, we decided that, oh, hold up, wait, no, this is not what we want. Measures 47 and 48 propose to privatize distilled liquor sales in Oregon, eliminating the OLCC as we currently know it as the sole wholesaler and distributor of distilled liquor in Oregon. What that mean was, as you know, Oregon is really a small business friendly state. We believe in that wholeheartedly. And what this would do would really hurt our small craft distilleries, it would hurt our small businesses, and we didn't see that. It would also put a strain on our rural consumers, the rural communities, and we didn't agree with that as well. It would also hurt our liquor gives us the third largest dollars for our tax structure. Excuse me, stuttering here, I'm a little nervous, sorry. And as you know, we have trouble collecting taxes here with our own folks, and going overseas to collecting taxes from some other places would be equally hard, would just make it even harder, so we didn't agree with that as well. And then I'll have Laura go into a little bit more about it too.
Thanks, Serena. We like to do everything as a team, the team that thinks together, drinks together on the Privatization Committee. So we also had a really lucky instance because Washington had just enacted very similar legislation, so they were sort of our lab rat. And we were able to see that actually the effect of this legislation was very detrimental to everyone except one basic stakeholder group, which was the big box retailer stores. They were doing pretty well with the liquor privatization, but otherwise the consumer was facing much higher prices. And we also saw that the diversity of available product had diminished significantly in the state of Washington. And this came about through statistical evidence as well as testimony from expert witnesses. And we were even hearing anecdotally that Washingtonians were driving down to Oregon in order to find Washington distilled liquor because it's no longer available in the state of Washington. So we thought the disproportionate disadvantage that everyone in the state would experience, from the state coffers at the public level to the consumer, to the small distillers, to the rural purveyors of retail establishments, it was just not something that favored majority of Oregonians. It was really for the big box retailers.
And just to add to that, it was a lot. It was a big decision, and we really went into detail. We really talked to folks, not just reading literature, but we went out to some of the bars, tested some of the liquor. No, I'm just kidding. But we did talk to some of the liquor store owners, and we did talk to some bar owners as well. And again, I just want to reiterate that Oregon is really big on supporting our small businesses, and we want to stay that way. We love our craft distilleries, even though I don't drink beer, but it would truly hurt our tourism market too as well. And when you think about that, and then also some community organizations that receive funds on mental health and other entities and different things like that, and our money that comes from our general fund, and that would really hurt us greatly, and we don't want to see our state hurt. We're winners, and we want to stay that way. So I am putting forth a motion to say no. I'm a little confused here. Saying no to private liquor sales in Oregon. Do we have a second here? All right, yes.
Earlier this evening, members signed up at the report table to debate. Members were selected at random from among those who signed up to speak for or against initiative petitions 47 and 58. I will alternate between the two positions. Each speaker will have 1 minute. The microphone to my right is labeled yes for those who support initiatives 47 and 58 on liquor sales, privatization, and the one to my far left is labeled no for those who oppose the initiatives. Will the following members please line up behind the yes microphone, Pat McCormick? And the following members line up behind the no microphone, Dan Kepler and Nancy Thomas. By a coin toss, we decided I will first recognize a member opposing the ballot measure. So that would be Dan or Nancy.
Hello. So I'm a member. I was a member of this committee, and as you just heard, a number of the points mentioned as to why our committee recommends a no on these measures. A couple of things in particular I would just reiterate are, in our findings, there seem to be clear winners and losers. The one group of people that was really going to benefit from these measures were the big box retailers and consumers and small craft distillers were not going to benefit. In fact, what we found out was that prices would probably go up and selection at the liquor store would probably go down. And that's also detrimental to the small distilling industry that Oregon's really done a lot to foster, and in which the OLCC itself fosters, and part of their mission is to be to actually add to that economic development. The other part I was going to mention that we found was in the measures themselves, there was just nothing really clear-cut about how taxes were going to be actually administered and collected through any type of privatization measure here. Thank you.
Pat?
Good afternoon. I'm Pat McCormick, a City Club member. I'm in favor of the liquor privatization. I was involved in the campaign that was bringing those to the ballot. We had met with the study committee, and I explained to the study committee at the time that we met that others who were involved in that were prepared to come and sit down with the committee to have a discussion about the elements of the initiative. But at that point, we still had not determined which initiative we were actually going to pursue to the ballot. And as a consequence, from my perspective, I got a little scolding in the report, you might note. But from my perspective, when we decided that we were going to pull this from the ballot because we didn't have sufficient time to collect the signatures, the report that was issued is based on incomplete information. In my way of thinking, I've been an advocate for being able to have us do more quickly with ballot measures. In this case, I would have voted for us to basically table these studies because this one didn't reference anything about the 1979 City Club study, which had recommended privatization of liquor in Oregon.
Dan Kepler, can you hear me? Dan Kepler, City Club member. I was in favor of the idea of privatization, but completely against this measure after we interviewed the various witnesses and I actually am a lawyer. I went through the entire measure, which is extremely long, in detail. I can tell you this measure was bought and paid for by Fred Meyer and the large grocery retailers, and every part of the measure is good for them and bad for everybody else. And they hired Mr. McCormick when he was a member of the Board of Governors of City Club to come in and lobby our committee on behalf of City Club. And I hate to level these kinds of charges, but I was really frustrated that he was the only person they would give us to talk about these measures. And so I feel it's a little disingenuous of him to come in and say we didn't have full information. In fact, every time we tried to talk to the actual petitioners or anybody else in favor of the measure, we got a response from Mr. McCormick. So, again, I like Mr. McCormick, and I think he's been great for City Club, but I think it's really, really inappropriate what happened here in terms of our research.
Thank you for your comments. The debate has concluded, and we now vote on the motion to adopt the report on Initiative Petitions 47 and 58. The report recommends a no vote on the initiatives. A simple majority vote determines whether or not the club supports the report. The final tally will include ballots cast in person today and ballots cast online. If you wish to vote today, indicate your vote on your ballot at this time. Thank you to Serena and to the committee for their hard work.